Ailish, are you ready? Yeah, fantastic. Firstly, can everyone see the slides? Is everyone happy? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can? Wonderful, brilliant. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And I hope it's sunny where you are because I can see blue skies and it's making me very happy. My name's Lisa Moiser. I'm the Senior Business Development Manager at GMCA, and I take a lead on engaging with employers to provide young people with employment and opportunities. While I run through the aims of the session, could you all please just drop into the chat box and answer these two quick questions? Which business are you from? And have you before invited young people into your workplace? Just a simple yes or no will suffice. And I will jump on to the next slide. So the session aims are really to inspire you to host your own workplace safari. And by the end of the session, we want you to understand what a workplace safari is, how we can support you, and what your next steps are. I'm also delighted that this morning we've got joining us Viv Dennis from Stepan, who are a Tameside-based chemical manufacturer, and Elliot Townsend from PwC, a professional services company. And they're both here to speak to you this morning about the workplace safaris they've recently delivered. And you can have the opportunity to ask them any questions. So why is a workplace safari so important? We've got evidence that shows that young people have 4 or more encounters with employers are 86% less likely to be unemployed, they're less likely to be not in education, and less likely to be not in training when they leave school or college. So just in that statistic, workplaces and the experiences you can provide within those can be life-changing for young people. However, we know that not all young people are benefiting from these experiences. There's an estimated 1 in 3 young people who are not getting the opportunity to plan for their future using real life experiences to base their decisions on. And national research has highlighted there's further disparities across race, gender, students with special educational needs and disabilities, and young people who've experienced being in the care system. And that's entrenching barriers and inequalities. So accessing these opportunities is not in the gift of a young person, and the gap between those who do and don't is all down to how well the system's able to respond. And we want to work with you to help us change this. In 2019, Andy Burnham launched the Meet Your Future programme, and this has enabled young people to connect with a variety of business environments, which help them learn about different roles and careers whilst giving them that first-hand experience of the workplace. Now, this academic year, we have an aim to increase the number of our workplace safari opportunities and deliver 4,000 more places for young people. And we wanted these opportunities to have primarily a focus on those who haven't had an experience before, those disadvantaged young people, and from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So we want to work with you alongside schools and colleges to be part of achieving that goal. Oh, I've gone too far, just let me go back. So at the crux of it, what is a workplace safari? You have a group of students accompanied by a teacher that come and visit your organisation. That visit can last from a few hours to a full day, and there are 6 key elements to the workplace safari, which you can see in the orange boxes. But how you offer those elements, it will be unique to your business. So I'm just going to let you kind of read them as I summarise. We want to enable the students to speak to a diverse range of colleagues in your business, and they understand the pathways into those roles, really, so the young person can really see how they can come and work for you and see their own pathways into your business or industry. We want to provide opportunities for students to understand the skills you value and require, and enable them to show you those skills by undertaking a task or challenge where you can provide feedback. I'm laughing when I say this, but really do not underestimate how important underestimate your workplace and how interesting it is. From a young person's point of view, it's likely it's the first time they've ever been in an environment like it. They really want to know what the typical working day is. And we know from student feedback that you'll be surprised that they're so surprised that you've got kitchens or canteens, and they'll pick up small things like that you've got recycling bins and real plants. And that shows them that you're pleased that you care for the environment. So it's really important that you speak about that and also your cultures and values. Let the students know what to expect from working for you and what you expect from each other in your business, and enable them to see themselves working for your industry. It might be that you have a carbon neutral strategy, or you enable staff to use some of their work time to volunteer, that you might have a prayer room or support for neurodiverse staff, or you have other staff support networks. It's letting them know that kind of complete picture of working for you and what that would feel and look like for them. And why is it important to your organisation? Well, you can have a look as I'm summarising. I'm just going to pick out some key points from this list. You'll be raising people's aspirations and challenging stereotypes, and in supporting young people to make more informed choices about their future pathways and careers. You'll be developing your future workforce, and the workplace safaris can help support you create a talent pipeline into your business. And it will also contribute to your social value and help develop your staff. And I really like that, it is great fun and it is great for staff morale for them to kind of be involved in these kinds of things. But that's enough from me, because I now want to bring it to life. You'll hear from two people who are going to speak about why their companies have run workplace safaris, what the impact has been, and when they've both had their 5 minutes, we'll open it up to questions, because we really want to find out what you need to know to run your own workplace safari. So I'm delighted to introduce Viv Dennis first from Stepan. Over to you, Viv.
Thank you. So I'm Viv Dennis, I'm the HR manager here at Stepan. I'm also an enterprise advisor for a local high school, and it's with them where we started our workplace safaris. We are a top tier chemical site within the middle of a town in Stalybridge. And with that, 95% of our people are from the local area. So we identified that in order to get our name out into the world, that we would look at the workplace safaris. And we've been doing them for a couple of years now. And they've produced some really great results for students. And we're now just opening them up to other schools in the area as well. So why do we invite young people to workplace safaris as opposed to much more work experience route? Well, it's to us, it's because we've got a third of our population are an ageing workforce. As I said, 95% of our people come from the local area. And obviously we're looking at our skill shortages, because we've estimated in Tameside we're going to need about 360 people in the next 5 to 10 years. And a lot of those in particular are science related and engineer related in particular. We use the workplace safaris, and ours are 2 hours on a Friday once a month. So they're not that much of an impact to the workplace. However, they're very impactful when the students come. So within that first 2 hours, we take 10 students each time. I put in front of them an apprentice, a previous apprentice, who dropped out of college and saw our job as a supply chain apprentice, and she tells her journey. A traditional degree route engineer, process engineer, and he talks about his route, and an engineering apprentice, and my degree apprentice who's in the lab as well. So varying people presenting their jobs. And it's a quick 15 minutes. It's not a huge delay to the workforce. And then for the last hour, so we give them cupcakes and hot chocolate and all of those things. And again, those are branded because the name, again, needs to get out there. And then for the next half, we take half in the lab and half around the site on a tour. Again, we're very mindful of safety because we're a top tier coma site, and that's something that we need to have manageable groups. So we don't take all day and we don't take larger groups. What has the impact been on our work safari? Well, I hope you managed to see the video because as a result of which 2 years ago we had a lad come on in year 10 and he was employed by us as an engineering apprentice in September. He's doing great. He's really confident. And what did I see as a difference was when he came to the actual interview, he was confident because he'd already visited the workplace. He'd talked to people. So we got a great attitude, a great young person, and that can only continue as we do more workplace safaris, as we're going to need a third of our people aging. So we're going to need that next population coming through. And that's me done. You're on mute if you didn't know.
I didn't, thank you. And it was to say thank you, Viv, that was brilliant. And over now to Elliot from PwC.
Cool. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Viv. So yeah, we ran, similar to Viv, a workplace safari. It was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was a one-off event, but it was the whole day. So I guess kind of a different format to Viv. And we had about 75 students from 5 or 6 schools across Greater Manchester in for a full day of working activities in our office in Manchester. I'll quickly touch on some of the activities we did, and then I'll go on to some of the questions on the benefits and such. So when they first arrived, we got them to do sort of a networking icebreaker activity. We really wanted to kind of not have them just sit in their schools and groups of friends, but encourage them to kind of get speaking to people as you would in the workplace normally. So this was a human bingo activity where they had to find out things about people from different schools, etc. Then we had someone from our student recruitment team come and give them a kind of run through of the different lines of service for PwC, the different routes in, be that apprenticeships, graduate schemes, etc. And we really made sure that throughout the day there was people from different seniorities there. So we had a 15-20 minute video call with Ben Higgin, who is our, I think he's the Chief Technology Officer, so really senior. And then we had, you know, people who are in their first and second year of their career throughout the day, and kind of middle management as well, to give them experience through the whole kind of seniority of staff. We had a session where our automation team came and gave them a hands-on demonstration of tech and AI. And then we had a kind of networking panel of young technologists where they could ask a group of technologists in the first few years of their career just any questions they wanted, be that on the routes into PwC, whatever. And then the main task in the afternoon was a Dragon's Den activity where they had to work in teams. We assigned them teams, again, not just their school friends. We tried to split them up, and they had to come up with a kind of solution to a task that PwC might have to solve using some techniques and technologies we'd kind of mentioned throughout the day. I should mention as well, this is part of a wider initiative called the Northwest Tech Talent Consortium, which is a group of 12 tech companies in Manchester. We essentially try and encourage young people throughout Manchester to go for tech careers that they normally wouldn't. It's kind of a social mobility initiative, and I think it's been really successful, and a lot of us are running these workplace safaris. Why do I think it's good for young people? I think it's good for them, but I think it's also been really good for us. I think just initially they found the day really exciting and rewarding. I was on register duty at the front door, and maybe it was because it was 9 a.m. on half term, but a lot of them seemed very unenthusiastic. As the day went on, that definitely changed. I think you could hear them discussing as the day went on what their preferred kind of line of service than PwC would be, their preferred entry route. And they just generally seemed like they enjoyed the day and got something out of it. I think it's also good for us. PwC as a company, I think it's good for the staff. It was a good day. I think, you know, I've got an opportunity to do that, but also speak somewhere like this. But I think it's good for I think PwC is viewed by the teachers we spoke to, maybe in a more archaic sense, a bit more like an investment banking company, you know, a group of kind of straight white men partners who encourage you to work loads of hours. But I think it's really not. There's a massive diverse group of employees, and we do so many different things, from that kind of traditional accounting through to, I'm a kind of technologist, I work with tech and data. So it's really good to get that out there, to show what PwC has to offer. And I think that, as Lisa mentioned, we have a much wider and diverse pool of applicants to choose from. I think the appeal of running a workplace safari over traditional work experience. I mean, I remember when I did work experience at school, and it was not great. I just went and sat in a accounting firm for a week and did I just typed in spreadsheets. And I know that I didn't go back to school and discuss it with my mates, and I know that it didn't empower me to, or encourage me to apply there. But I know that from talking to the students on the day, you know, they were discussing it with their mates in the lifts, when they were having lunch. As I said, the kind of lines of service they wanted to apply to, or the routes in. And I'd hope that when they went back to school, that would carry on, and they'd discuss it to some of their mates who hadn't had the chance to come. And I also think it was just a better way to, as Lisa said, show them the workplace, but to keep them motivated there, and hopefully they had fun. The impact our workplace safari has had, unfortunately, you know, Viv, that was a great example of someone who's actually been to the workplace safari and then joined the company. Ours was only 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we haven't had that yet. But as I said, I know that from the immediate feedback, the kids that attended loved it, and I think it really made them think and consider maybe a different career path to one they usually would have. And yeah, as I said, I think they really enjoyed the day. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much to you both. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a second, stop presenting, just to enable kind of people to take themselves, put the cameras back on if they wish or not, and just ask some questions of you both about how it's worked in practice, how you might have questions about how it was set up in the first place. So does anybody want to jump in with any questions initially? Okay. People are joining, but are there questions yet? Brilliant, Kevin, jump in.
Just for Viv and Elliot, how did you go about engaging with the schools, and what was the sort of uptake? Was there a specific school in particular you worked with initially? I think you mentioned that, Viv. And how did you build on that then?
Shall I go, Elliot, first? Sorry.
Yeah,
I built, obviously, with being an enterprise advisor for Alder, I've already got that connection with the school. So 10 students once a month was also manageable for the school, as well as manageable for us. And it was only for 2 hours. So it didn't impact massively on the workplace as well. So we set that up, and the structure of which I really designed myself, because we were looking at real people who are doing real jobs and them explaining. So yeah, it was mainly through my enterprise advisor role. I've now opened up that to other schools locally, because we've had 9 new heads in Tameside. So that's changed a little bit on what's happening locally as well.
And just to add to what Viv's saying, so sitting behind all this work with what we do as Greater Manchester Combined Authority is our community of practice of over 220 schools and colleges, and that's part of our support to you as employers who want to offer workplace safaris, that we can find out. You may have your own particular focuses on demographics and types of young people, just reflecting you might want to be considering diversity or socioeconomic backgrounds, but we are absolutely there to be able to link you with the schools and make those connections to enable you to fill those places for your workplace safaris. Elliot, do you want to jump in at that point?
Yeah, so as I said, our workplace safari is part of a wider kind of group of companies, and I know that Lisa and the GMCA do really help distribute those opportunities around schools. I know at PwC we have kind of 5 or 6 schools who we've engaged with previously and are always super keen to get involved, which obviously we'd like to, you know, spread the net wider and get we do use the GMCA route to distribute these, but it is also great to have those kind of recurring customers and schools to come back, because especially a couple of the teachers on the day, they're really enthused by the whole safari and other events we've had, so that's good to see as well.
And to add to what Elliot said as well, that's our ultimate goal, that we're creating sustainable relationships between you as businesses and schools and colleges, so that this can be these opportunities can be offered on an ongoing basis. And it might be that at times, like Viv is saying, you need to reflect on which schools you're working with because there are changes, or because potentially you've got more capacity or less capacity. So we're there over the long term to be able to support you, but fundamentally we want you to have sustainable relationships with schools and colleges to make this process easier over time. And as you say, you're not worried about trying to fill those places because you've got those rich relationships with the schools and colleges you want to have.
Can I just jump in, Lisa? We've also had
course.
a teacher encounter as well, just to invite teachers to come on site to look at how curriculum can link with what you do, basically. That can also widen the net and promote it a little bit more. Thank you.
No, that's brilliant. And just to pick up from Sophie Hope in the chat, who's one of our colleagues, our principals at GMCA, we're also focused on the sectors that have challenges that Viv's outlined, so the ageing workforce, etc. And this aligns to our integrated technical education ambitions. So it's kind of all aligned to the wider economic strategy of GMCA and how we want to inspire young people to work in GMCA and make in Greater Manchester and make their careers here. Are there any other questions for Viv and Elliot in regards to, did it make sense to everyone? Does everyone have a feel for what it's about? We've also, I'll move on to how we support you in a second, but I just wanted to make sure there weren't any other questions for Viv and Elliot. Okay, brilliant.
I think just quickly to add on something you said, Lisa, about building those relationships with the schools. Having those 2 or 3 schools that we have done events with consistently, I think it's been really good, because we can. So part of the goals of these events with the Northwest Tech Talent Consortium is to kind of solve a bit of a skills gap in the Northwest in terms of people who are looking to get into these tech careers, and being able to have these relationships with the schools, we can really encourage them to bring maybe a slightly different demographic. You know, generally, I think the uptake among boys into tech careers is higher than girls, but we can encourage them to maybe bring that more diverse range of students to the day. And I think having those relationships definitely helps us hit like a wider group of students, which has been good.
No, fantastic. Thanks for adding that in. So I'm going to go back to presenting the slides. Again, this is going to be summing up. So if there's any further questions, just please raise your hand and jump in and ask them. So you should see now the how we support you slide. We've covered a few of these things in the conversation we've just had, but just to summarize, you will have received a Workplace Safari toolkit, but we'll resend that out with the recording of this session. And we're also really keen to facilitate group sessions following this to enable you to collectively develop and plan your offer. And I'll show you the details of that in the last slide coming up next. We want to help you create an exciting day to inspire young people. You know, Viv and Elliot have shown you 2 different ways of really doing that. And that's kind of the key thing to come out from this. There's a framework, but it's really to make it your own, but learn from the lessons of others and to see how you can really get the most out of this. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's lots happening, and we want to make this as easy for you as possible. We will introduce you to schools and colleges. We've already touched on that, and you can look at working with schools and colleges to agree your aims and objectives, which maybe, like Elliot said, is about reaching certain young people to look at a skills gap within the industry. We'll also want to share what you're doing on social media to inspire others. Some of you may have signed up to this webinar, for example, from seeing things on social media. So we'd also raise your profile as a business to be able to inspire others and to show how it's done. And then, as we said before, enable you to develop an ongoing relationship with your schools and colleges to obviously then lead.
We appear to have lost Lisa, I think. It's all right. I'll grab the phone. Oh, she's back. And you're on mute, Lisa. Lisa, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was just saying there was an issue with Teams. It just shut itself down. Not sure why, but let's jump straight back into it. So just finishing off the how to support you slide, and just saying that we'd really like to enable you to create those ongoing relationships with schools and colleges. And so we'll just move in the next couple of last couple of minutes to be able to talk about next steps and what we want to do going forward with you. So we hope that from this 30-minute introduction, you're inspired to offer your own workplace safari. We've got a couple of next steps. We have pulled together a workplace safari planning webinar from 12 to 12:45 on Thursday, the 21st of March. We're going to automatically send out a Teams invite after this for you to hopefully sign up to. It's also, you can share that with your colleagues or other businesses if you're in contact with other businesses to join that. And we'd also like you to confirm your interest in delivering a workplace safari by completing the workplace safari questionnaire. You can see there's a QR code there for you to scan, or when you receive the slide pack, you'll be able to click on the link. This is going to be able to ask you a series of questions to say, you know, what are you interested in doing? What kind of activities do you think you can run? So it's just being able to then understand who really wants to take this forward and be able to support you to do that. Apologies for the technical issue, but we're back to time. In the last minute, was there anything that, I think there's some things in the chat that I might not have seen, but are there any other questions from people? Okay. Brilliant. Well, we're now at 10:30. I think that was, just wanted to say thank you again to Viv and Elliot for taking the time out. I think their inputs were absolutely fantastic and gave a real kind of two angles to workplace safaris. I hope it was useful. We'll send out the recording, and please do feel free to share it far and wide. And if you can join us on the planning webinar, that'd be fantastic, and complete the questionnaire as well, that would be great. And we will definitely be in touch. So thank you very much, everyone.
Amazing. Thanks for having us. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
No problem. Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Lisa. Bye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye bye.